Chapter 20. Tap screams out in pain as the hatchet hits him in the arm. Crimson red blood flies through the air and splatters the dirty, tattooed walls. He turns to me, fear in his eyes. I lift up the other hatchet, ready to throw it. He takes off running and slams down a wooden pallet in my path. I go after him, running at a faster speed than normal. I launch myself over the pallet. He sees us and yells, running as fast as an injured guy can. I get close to him, my free hand reaching for my knife. Swiping at him with my knife, I leave a large gash on Tap's back, not knocking him down but making him more injured. After I hit him, I slow down and my head cries out in pain. I stop to grab my head and Tap gets away. Am I really doing this? Had I really done all that? Something felt off, but I had to keep going. No, I need to keep going. I followed the blood trail that had been left behind. The farther I follow it, the fresher the blood looks. I can hear voices, so I crouch and hide behind a nearby rock. They threw a hatchet at you? A female voice asked. But only the hunches can do that. I froze. Lori strode. One of the few survivors I'm close to, and I was going to have to kill her. She's bandaging Tap's injuries. I know, Tap grunts. And they were able to hide the terror radius like a pig. They also used the Legion's power. A killer that can copy other killers? Lori questions curiously. Are you telling the truth? It's pretty unheard of. Tap nods. It's scary. The entity has really got it out for us. He sighs. I was able to move to go into the attack, but stopped again as Lori spoke up. What do you think happened to Isaac? She spoke. They haven't been at the campfire for a while. I don't know, Tap replies. Kay spoke really fast. She said something about them being able to cross to the killer side of the forest, and that the babe spoke and knew their name. He sighs. I don't know what it all means, but the entity is definitely up to something. It's a good old Tap, being a detective. I don't want to let the conversation go on further, to keep them from finding anything. Jumping up, I tossed the hatchet at the two. Lori happened to be in front of Tap, and she got hit, yelling out in pain and surprise. Tap grabs Lori and runs, with me following close behind. I told you! Tap yells to Lori as they run. I'm ready my knife, using a burst of energy to catch up to them and slash at Lori, who is being dragged behind Tap. She stumbles and falls, allowing me to catch up with her. Tap stops to try to help her up. Run! Keep going! I'll be okay! Lori yells out to Tap. He hesitates but sees me approaching Lori and quickly looks down at her. He spots something shiny in her hand, a piece of broken glass. He nods and runs off to warn the other survivors. Lori hadn't finished healing him, so he was still injured as well. I looked down at Lori, who was struggling to get up from the ground. I sat over to pick her up, sighing quietly to myself. Starting to carry her to the nearest hook. I'm caught by surprise as pain shoots from my back and I drop her, reaching to find out why it happened. I pull a large shard of glass out of my shoulder. Of course she used that trick on me. I quickly recover and go after her. She's surprisingly quick for someone who's injured. Another burst comes to me, and I launch myself over a pallet that she dropped to try and get me. She panics and continues running, but I catch her, making a deep gash on her back next to the first one. Crying out in pain, she runs into a small shack. I stop outside the building and listen, hearing the quiet creaking of a locker door. I wait a moment before stepping inside. There are 3 lockers. Damn it. If I chose the wrong one, she'll get away. I can grab hatchets and throw them if she starts to run. Looking at the ground, I follow the blood trail to a locker in the corner of the building. I rip open the door to the locker and see Lori. She screams as I grab her and tries to struggle out of my arms. As the killer though, I seem to have more strength than normal, so I hold on tightly and look around for a hook. Also inside the building is the staircase, the basement. I slowly carry her down the stairs and over to the group of hooks. I'm really sorry, Lori. No! She screams as I lift her up towards the hook. Please, let me go! Should I? I want to. I hold her above the hook. Please. She looks down at me, her lips trembling and eyes wide with fear. If you have any humanity in you, please let me go. My hand stops. The whispers come back like before, loud and booming. They call me names, tell me to put her on the hook, that I'll be rewarded nicely. I shake my head, fighting it. I don't want to succumb to that. This isn't me. Lori is my friend. I slowly lower her to the ground and release her. She doesn't run. Thank you, she speaks in a quiet voice, walking towards the stairs. She stops at the bottom and turns to me. Who are you? I don't look at her. I don't want to speak. She'll know. It was silent for what felt like forever. She shook her head. Sorry, I didn't think you would speak. She frowns and makes her way up the stairs and out of the shack. I listen to the quiet footsteps of her leaving and waiting until she's gone. 2 generators go off. I should go and finish the trial. My feet feel like they're stuck in fake mud as I tread my way up the one staircase. Reaching into one of the lockers, I pull out a couple of hatchets and affix them to my belt. I peer out the door to the shack and I looked around before crouching to sneak my way around the area. Thanks to the moist dirt on the ground, I can hear other footsteps easier and see footprints. Speaking of footsteps, some sound nearby, and I shuffle my way in that direction. Into my view comes a male I don't recognize. His hair is slicked back in style, and he's wearing what looks to be an ice cream parlor outfit. He stops at a generator and crouches down to start working on it. I hide in a cluster of bamboo shoots and watch him for a moment. I don't know him, so it shouldn't be hard to get rid of him, right? I quietly take one of the hatchets from my belt and ready it, pulling my arm back to launch the hatchet towards him. I need to do this, don't I? I want to be a part of the Legion, but do I need them? Do they need me? Chapter 21. I slide the hatchet back into my belt and let the ice cream boy work on the generator. A generator dinged in the distance. Deciding to leave him to his own devices, I started my way to look for someone else. Maybe I'll try the girl that I saw tap with earlier. Yeah, I'll hook her. At least then I won't feel bad, because I don't know her. I don't know the other guy either. He reminds me too much of my friend back home, Harrison. He worked at a restaurant with similar uniforms. The lights in the warehouse were on, so that generator must be done. I head for the next nearest generator. I can hear the clanking from it. Someone's working on it. Perfect. Peeking through a cluster of bamboo, I spot the girl with the goggles. She's humming quietly to herself while working, slowly progressing. I decided to sneak up behind her, but I'm stopped when a loud crunch sounds. There was a stick on the ground that I had stepped on. It snapped. Damn. She spins around, eyes wide. I quickly grab a hatchet and stand, raising my arm and letting it fly down. The hatchet flies through the air, and before she can react, it hits her square in the chest. She screams and turns tail, stumbling away. Thankfully, she isn't as fast as I catch up in no time, stabbing her in the side with my knife. She falls to the ground with a solid thud. I stand over her and see her quiver. Shaking her head, I pick her up and throw her over my shoulder. I wasn't initially going to hurt her, as I was going to grab her off of the generator. That stick followed my plans. She doesn't struggle. Instead, just laying over my shoulder, groaning in pain. My shoulder is wet and warm with blood from the gash in her chest. Not soon after I pick her up, she froze up, all over my back. Great. The pain made her puke. It probably didn't help that my shoulder was digging into her stomach. This puke better not stay on my clothing after the trial, or I will personally march into the survivor's fire and murder her. I take her to the nearest hook and shove her onto it. Another scream. She reaches up to try and lift herself up, either in an attempt to escape it or relieve the pain. Good luck with that. Her hands are slick with blood and slip off of the metal. The more she struggles, the bigger the injury gets. Grabbing another hatchet from a nearby locker, I take my leave. Yet another generator goes off. That must be for the ice cream guy. Now the survivors have two generators left. Not long after I left that girl on the hook, something told me she had gotten off of it. Someone rescued her. I roll my eyes and head back to that direction, immediately spotting her and Detective Tap. A hatchet flies from my hand, hitting her in the back. She falls face first into the mud. Tap panics and grabs her arm, trying to pull her up. The second hatchet flies. A large crack sounds. I had hit Tap square in the forehead. He stops moving and collapses forward onto the fallen body of the girl, blood running from his head. Did that kill him right away? I approached the body and shoved Tap onto the ground, reaching down to his neck to check his pulse. It's there, but faint. I pick him up and hoist him over my shoulder before I come onto the hook that the girl had just been on. Turning to the girl, I pick her up too. The initial hole for the hook is gone, but she still has wounds from before that. I take her to another hook and put her onto it, washing my hands and my legs. They're covered in blood. I'm covered in blood. Some of it has started to dry in spots, turning a disgusting brown color. I grimace and grab more hatchets. Hopefully this trial ends soon. I wonder what happened to Lori. She must have gotten patched up by now, probably on her way to save one of the two survivors I just hooked. I crouch and head back towards where I hooked Tap. He's struggling against the hook, grunting. The ice cream guy appears again. I get a better look at the front of him. He has a determined look on his face, and his eyes look like they've seen worse than his realm. I get a look at his name tag. Steve. That's his name. I mean, it's on his name tag. Steve stops in front of Tap, surprise crossing his face at seeing that large gash in the detective's head. Jesus Christ! Steve exclaims. What happened to you? Tap stops struggling. The killer threw a hatchet. He manages to croak out. I don't know how he's even able to speak with such an injury. What they didn't see, though, was me hiding right behind him, hiding right next to them, in a group of bamboo reeds. I wait for Steve to reach for Tap before lunging at him, knife out. Steve turns to me as I peer through the reeds, fear streaking across his face. I don't see Steve's face, though. I see my friend's face. Barely having time to move the knife away, I end up tackling Steve to the ground. He yells out in surprise, our bodies colliding and falling to the ground in a heap. I scramble up, holding the knife up at the ready. Steve takes the moment to catch his breath and climbs up, putting his hand in front of it defensively. His back and hands are stained brown with mud. I probably look worse. I'm standing between Steve and Tap. Tap isn't struggling anymore, just looking at the two of us in surprise and confusion. Steve stares at me, a slight angry look on his face. Are you going to stand there, or are you going to attack me? He asks, almost taunting me. I lunge at him again to stab him, but I'm caught by surprise when he evades my attack. Steve moves to the side and grabs my arm, swinging me around and causing me to stumble to the ground. We fought back. Can survivors even do that? Chapter 22. I sit on the ground for a moment. Did that really just happen? Here I was, the killer, thrown to the ground by a survivor who fought back. I knew that they could fight back after being picked up, but to blatantly dodge my attack and throw me? I knew he looked like he had gone through stuff before. Something about him definitely told me he could defend himself. But I ignored that thinking he couldn't. Whatever. I'll worry about the details later. I need to keep him from saving Tap. Steve had started to reach up again to pull Tap off of the hook. I jump up and pull him away from the hook, picking him up, throwing him onto my shoulder. He starts wiggling. Let me go! He grunts and hits my back with his fist. I shake my head and start bringing him to a hook. I just want this trial to be over. A noise goes off in the direction of where I hooked the girl. Spider legs come down from the sky. She died on the hook. Soon, it will be tapped. Something about that made me happy. Maybe it was the excitement of being done soon. Maybe it was being happy that I made a successful kill. I managed to hook Steve and head back to where I put Tap. Just like last time I saw him, he's struggling, but not to get off with the hook. He's struggling to try and save his own life. There are more spider legs surrounding him, and one is trying to stab him through the chest. He's barely keeping it at bay, desperately climbing to it and pushing it away. Eventually, it'll slip through his grip, or he'll get too tired to stop it, or it can even overpower him. I just watch. Actually, where's Lori? I haven't seen her in a while. Is she on her way to rescue Steve, or is she waiting for me to leave Tap? Whatever the case, I want to watch what happens to Detective Tap. A generator goes off. She was looking while I was killing her friend. The claw slipped through Tap's grip and impaled him, killing him instantly. More claws come to the sky and lift him away. Steve got pulled off the hook. Lori saved him. If I don't catch them now, they might escape. There's one more generator to do. I go after them, hatchet at the ready to throw. Steve is injured, so I can follow his blood trail and knock him down instantly with my hatchet. Lori, on the other hand, is not injured, so she'll be harder to take down. The blood leads away from the hook and towards the tatami house. Perfect. I crouch and follow the trail, hearing the two inside. That was really brave of you, Steve, Lori sighs. But also pretty reckless. You could have gotten hurt doing that. I definitely caught him off guard though, Steve grunts. They took a moment to get up, like they were surprised. I peer through a hole in the paper and see Lori wrapping gauze around the hole in Steve's body. She looks angry. Of course she would. I spared her, but not the others. And now two of her friends are dead. I need to end this trial before Lori tries more stuff. I step back from the wall and raise my arms, hatchet in hand. Luckily, the wall was just made out of paper and sticks, so the hatchet would go through easily. I close my eyes for a moment. What if I miss this shot? They'll know I'm here. I could accidentally hit Lori. Listening to their voices, I adjust what I'm going to throw and release the hatchet. Two screams reassure me that I hit someone. Opening my eyes, I stand and look through the large hole my hatchet left in its wake. Steve is on the ground, and Lori is staring at me with a mix of fear and surprise on her face. I quickly go to the door and slide it open to face the two. Lori looks down at Steve and back at me. She runs out at the other side of the room, running through the house. I leave Steve on the ground to go after Lori, another hatchet in my hand and my knife in the other. More whispers. I listen to them. They tell me where to go to find her. Following the instructions proves useful, as I find her in another locker. She screams as I pick her up and throw her over my shoulder. She raises her arm, probably to stab me something into my shoulder again. So I throw her onto the ground. She hits the ground with a thudding grunt. The object flies out of my hands. A sharp stick. I shake my head at her and pick her up again. Now she can't stab me. She yells and struggles as I take her to a hook. Once again, she tries pleading for me to let her go. I was almost considering letting her go again before something stopped me from letting her go. I felt like claws were gripping my arms, forcing me to move them. Lori screams as I shove her onto the hook. As soon as she's on the hook, the feeling in my arm goes away. I look at her for a moment, watching as she struggles to get off the hook. The rusty metal is cutting her hands, making them slick with blood and too slippery to grab the hook with. I shake my head and go back to Steve. He had tried to get away, but he left a large blood trail behind him as he had dragged himself to a group of bamboo shoots. I pick him up and also put him onto another nearby hook. Finally, the trial was over. After they died, I peered back at the killer's campfire. A claw came out of the ground, and I had out a large bag of tokens, which I took. And held out a large bag of tokens to me. which I took. I look up and see Frank. He had been waiting for me. Looks like you did it. Good job. He did a bad attempt at congratulating me. I shake my head. You don't need to congratulate me. I just did what I had to. He rolls his eyes. You did a good job, though. That many coins means you killed all four. Frank is about to say more, but is cut off by his chest glowing red. He slides on his mask and waves me goodbye as he disappears into a trial. I sigh in relief. I look towards the fire. Sitting around it is a dearest Finn, a big guy in a mask that looks like he's made out of skin and steel. Standing in the general vicinity is a really tall guy in a white mask, Evan. I go to sit on the log next to a guy in the skin mask. He looks up at me and gives a smile. Something tells me he's a very nice person to be around. I take my bag of coins, toss a handful into the fire, keeping my hand out. A few ashes fly onto my hand, collected together until they become a belt. The belt has multiple loops on it to hold items. Perfect. More space to carry hatchets. I affix it around my waist. The skin masked man watches with a charm-like fascination. I continue a couple more times with the rest of my coins. All in all, I collected a heart-shaped locket, a bottle with a half-closed eye on it, and a bowl of pudding? The pudding has eyes and a finger sticking out of it. Definitely not eating that anytime soon. I begin to think. Being a killer is okay, but I also have survivor friends I want to be with. Frank told me I had to keep killing to stay with the Legion. I went back to what I thought about in my trial. Do I need the Legion? Do they need me? The answer to that would be no. I'm going to leave the Legion. Chapter 23. I'm going to lead the Legion. A big decision, I know. They won't like it all that much either. But I can't stay in the group. They forced me to kill people down to my friends. I can somewhat handle killing, but making me kill is just so I can stay in the group? I don't think that's very good. Speaking of the survivors, my friends, I should probably go visit them. They're worried about me. I look down at my blood-stained clothes. Maybe I should get a change of them somehow. I stand and go over to Anna. Isaac, hello. She looks up at me, speaking in a thick Russian accent. You need something? Hi, Anna. I sit next to her. Can I ask you something? Of course. She smiles. Ask me anything. Do you have any extra clothes I can change into? Mine are all covered in blood. I ask her, gesturing to my stained clothes. She's quiet for a moment, a curious look upon her face. Her mouth opens and lets out a loud laugh, hitting herself in the leg with her hand. The other killers look over confusedly. Did I ask something weird? Extra clothes, yes? She speaks after calming down. A goofy grin has spread across her face. You are a curious one. I have clothes. Follow. She stands and holds out her hand to me. I take it and she grips tightly, helping me onto my feet. She then leads me to her cabin. I had many clothes, she explains, from children and trespassers. Trapped kids? I ask her, frowning slightly when her expression drops. No, I stole kids so I could have kids. Her face looked sad. They always died. Oh, I felt bad for asking. She was probably very lonely before the entity took her in. I'm sorry. It's okay. Now I have a big family. The smile came back. And you are part of it, Semya? I nod and watch as she opens up a large trunk. Inside the trunk is a bunch of clothes, ranging from small toddler sizes to adult sizes. She looks at me over and reaches in, pulling out clothing that she thinks may fit me. There are a couple of jackets, shirts, pants. Some of the shirts are stiff and dark and brown with blood. Here, choose. She gestures to the clothing she had laid out across the table in the center of the cabin. I look at the selection of clothes. There's not much for a selection, but I decide to choose 2 outfits. Anna smiles at my selections. They look good. Odlikno, slub, slub, botano. Try on, she asked. Yeah, I nod, just to make sure they fit. I pick up my first outfit selection. Anna stares at me, excited to see what I look like in the new clothes. Um, can you turn around? I asked sheepishly. Why? I want to see. Anna frowned slightly. I can't change with you staring at me like that. I hum. It makes me uncomfortable. Oh, I see. Pinocchio is Venenia. She turns her She turns to face the wall away from me. I change into the first outfit, a dark leather jacket on top of a dark red shirt, along with blue skinny jeans and dirty yellow sneakers. You can turn around now, I speak up. Anna turns around, her face lights up as soon as she sees me. Oh, Isaac, good. You look good, she explains, wandering over to me. She pokes and prods at my outfit, inspecting and adoring it. Signal Trapadano. I chuckle awkwardly and nod, taking the compliments. Second outfit? She looks down at me. I nod as she goes back to facing the wall to let me change. The second outfit received the same treatment. She circled me, speaking praises in Russian, very proud of herself and I. It was a faded denim jacket that has a couple of hatches on it. Along with the jacket, I chose a black t-shirt that has a Russian band name on it, red jeans with holes in the knees, and a pair of blue sneakers. I decided to keep this outfit as a survivor outfit, and the other one as my killer outfit. Saying my goodbyes to Anna, I leave and go back into the forest. As soon as I leave her area, a claw comes down from the sky and grabs the killer outfit from me. The entity must have read my mind. I'll just let it hold on to the outfit until my next trial. I keep walking and find myself into Survivor's campfire clearing. Everyone must have been surprised to see me, because the usual chatter was replaced by silence as everyone stared at me in surprise. Hey guys, I awkwardly waved, smiling. Isaac! A voice cries out, and I am tackled to the ground by a bundle of orange braids. May. Where have you been? Everyone's been worried sick, Meg exclaims, puffing. She stands and helps me back up, especially after what Kate said about you. Yeah, it was all a big misunderstanding. I tried brushing it off. Oh, you'll never believe what we've gone through, Meg whines, almost as if she didn't hear me. There's so many new killers. Well, I'm here now, so I'd love to hear about it, I chuckle. In fact, I see some newbies too. I look over at the three new survivors. Steve and the girl with goggles. There's another girl next to Steve. Of course, let me introduce them to you. Meg leads me over to the group. This is Steve. She gestures to said male. He looks up at me, the same battle-hardened look in his eyes, just like I saw before. This is Nancy. Meg pointed to the girl next to Steve. Nancy looks up at me as well, her eyes just like Steve's. I wonder what those two went through. And last, this is Yui. She appeared after Nancy and Steve. Meg points to the last girl. In fact, she just came out of her first child. Yui waves at me, a small smile crossing her face. Whoops, now I feel a little bit bad. That probably wasn't a good experience for a first trial. Lily was looking for you, Meg speaks up, drawing my attention away from the new people. But she got dragged into a trial right before you showed up. I nod. Hopefully I'm here long enough to see her. Meg's facial expression becomes thoughtful. Speaking of you being here, where have you been disappearing to? We've seen you in trials, but you never came back here. It's dangerous to go wandering away from the campfire. I knew she was going to ask that. Well, it's because I have to try coming up with an answer. I've been trying to look for a way to get out of this place. There's gotta be a way out, right? Meg looks surprised for a moment, and then amused. She laughs. I like your spirit. There isn't a way out, though. She chuckles, a twinge of sadness passing through her eyes. Some of us have been here for a really long time. We've tried looking for a way out, she explains. But we always ended up back at the campfire. no matter if we walk in a straight line. Plus, it's so foggy in the deeper areas of the forest that you can't even see anything. I nod, intrigued. Well, do you want to tell me about the new killers? You'll have to ask the others. I've only been in trial with the killers we already had. Tap Quentin. Tap, Quentin, and Neo will know about the new killers, Meg explains. I need to go to Claudette and collect more herbs and oak. And with that, she's gone. I should go and talk to the others about the new killers. Might hear about myself. Chapter 24. Maybe I'll talk to Quentin. He wasn't in my trial. Currently, he's sitting against a tree, looking like he's about to doze off. Not right now, buddy. I need to know who's new to the party. I walk over to Quentin and smile. Hi, I'm Isaac. We were in a trial before? Quentin looks up at me. We were? He thinks for a moment. I can almost see the gears entirely turning in his head. Oh, right, we were. I guess that dude that cut off your tongue. Yeah, I think he's called the Legion. I roll my eyes, pretending not to know too much. Anyways, Meg said to ask you about the new killers. I think there were 2 or 3. Quentin blinks at me blankly before responding. I've only seen 1 new killer. You'd have to ask around about any others. The one I ran into was a Maya's copycat. He can be stealthy, and if he stared at you long enough, he can knock you down in 1 hit. That's all I remember. I fell asleep during the trial. What? Quentin fell asleep during a trial, of all things. Did this kid not get sleep? Is he just tired all the time? Who is he? How does he manage to fall asleep like that? Ah, okay. I'll go after the others then. I hum and bid Quentin a farewell, rejoining the rest of the group. Tap is my next best bet. Maybe I'll see what he thinks about me. Said detective is sitting low on a log, fiddling with his hat. I go and sit next to him. Afternoon, or morning, or evening? You can't really ever tell here, huh? I start awkwardly, trying to lighten up the atmosphere. It seems to be a never-ending nighttime, so I'd probably say evening. Tap replies. He sets his hat down in his lap and looks up to meet my gaze. Do you need anything? Yeah, actually. Do you know anything about the new killers? I'm just curious. Tap hums and turns his head to look at the campfire. I was in a trial with one before just a bit ago. They seem to have the traits of a lot of different killers. They look like the Legion and can do what the Legion can do. But they also sorry. But they also throw hatchets and use the kick the pig's crouching ability. It's kind of scary. The entity just keeps bringing in strongest killers. I nod. They can do all that stuff? That is kind of scary. A killer able to use other killers' abilities? He's definitely talking about me, but like with everything else kill-related, I have to pretend I don't know. By the way, Lily was looking for you, but Tap was interrupted by someone walking out of the fog next to us. Speak of the devil, it's Lori Strode. She managed to escape the trial. Her peering green eyes reached around the room until he rested on me. Well, hi. Finally decided to join us back at the fire? She smiled and asked, her tone sprinkled with anger. I have been exploring the forest, I spoke, giving her almost the same excuse I gave Meg. Well, Isaac, do you think we could talk away from the others? Uh-oh. Yeah, sure. I nod and Lloyd leads me away from the campfire. A little bit ago, Kate came back to the fire and said you had somehow crossed over to the killer's fire. Lloyd frowned. And you haven't been coming back to us recently. What have you been doing? Well, I've been trying to find a way out. I couldn't really find anything. I made the same exact excuse. I can't let Lloyd find out. I want to stay friends with the survivors. That still doesn't explain how Kate saw you with the vape. Lloyd crosses her arms, eyes looking at me accusingly. What is the entity doing with you? What to say, what to say. I could just tell her that it was nothing, that we had wandered too close, and Philip happened to be patrolling. That sounds more reasonable. I don't know what Kate told you, I start. But we had just wandered a little too close, and the wave happened to be patrolling the boys at the campfire. He must have scared her off, but I got pulled into a trial. Lily stared at me for a moment, deciding whether or not to believe me. It stayed like that for a few minutes. She must be unsure, but in the end, she decides to believe it. Alright, that seems plausible enough. Lily shrugs, averting her gaze. I'll tell Kate what really happened. We'll hold a survivor meeting. She continues. The entity is up to something, and we need to figure out what it is. We head back to the campfire. The rest of the survivors are back from their trials. Everyone is here. Lois steps over to where Meg is, saying something to her. Meg nods and turns to the group. Alright everybody, I'm calling a meeting, Meg calls out. I look around the clearing. There's some faces I don't recognize, but it seems like everyone really is here. The entity must be taking a break. The survivors sit in a semicircle around the fire, with Meg standing alone on the other side of the campfire. We need to talk about the recent happening and introduce the new survivors. The entity keeps pulling people in quickly, and even gathering more killers. We've had more newbies this week than ever before. She speaks confidently, definitely showing that she's the leader of the group. Can Steve, Nancy, Yui, Jane, Ash, and Zarina please come up here? 6. 6 new survivors besides Jeff and I have been here all long enough to get introduced. Said survivors stand and go to stand next to Meg. These are our 6 new survivors. Can you guys introduce yourselves? Meg asks. She sounds like a teacher when there's a new student. I'm Steve Harrington. I came from Hawkins, Indiana. Steve introduces himself before letting Nancy speak. They gave their introductions and were dismissed to sit back down. Now, before I end this meeting, I wanted to clear some of the controversy around Isaac. Meg speaks again. Oh great. Now she's talking about me. Lily talked to them. Lily talked to them, and it turns out they didn't actually go to the killer's campfire. We can confirm that they haven't been working with killers. Everything is okay. Very well said, mate. Everything is definitely okay. Meeting adjourned, May called out again. The survivors went back to what they had been doing before the meeting. Playing cards, talking, thinking, so on. The clearing wasn't definitely quiet for the first time. Something felt different. After some time of sitting at the fire, I was finally chosen to be pulled into a trial. Hopefully this goes well. Chapter 25. I opened my eyes to find myself in a similar area to where my last trial had been. The area is littered with tall bamboo stalks and boulders. This place feels different, as if there's a lot of anger in the air. I better be careful. Sneaking around, I find a generator and get to work. Just as I touch the generator, I hear a loud gunshot go off nearby. The hell? Peeking over a rock, I spot Claudette being chased by a small western-looking man. Claudette, not knowing that I'm here, is running my direction. She passes me, and the tall man stops next to me, aiming down the sights of a modified gun. It has a spear in it. A harpoon gun? He must have not seen me here, so I take advantage of that and decide to help Claudette, jumping at him and pushing the gun. The spear misses Claudette by a long shot, and she disappears into the bamboo. I hear a strange clicking sound, and look to see angry white orbs staring down at me. The man's jaw clicking in and out of place. He pulled me off of him, and I fall to the ground, again finding myself staring at something, but something completely different. The barrel of the spear gun. The spear launched out of the barrel and hit something soft. A small clunk of something metal hitting dirt rang through the air. I had managed to roll out of the way in time, avoiding the likely death of a rushing spear through the head. Instead of my face, Mr. Cowboy hit the dirt. He growls and cranks the spear back into position as I get up and start to run. I launch myself over an opening in the wall and duck just in time as the spear shoots again right above me. I run and quickly turn a corner, trying to elude the angry gunman. Taking my way into a building, I stop around another corner, taking a breather. My heart is beating hard, and I can hear the thudding footsteps of the killer approaching me. Hopefully he can't see through the paper walls of the building. A quick glance around shows that this is different than the other building I saw. It seems to be a shrine of some sorts. My thoughts are stopped short by a sharp pain in my chest, accompanied by a large gunshot. Suddenly, I'm being painfully tugged towards the killer. I pull at the chain, hoping to get myself free from the hook. My hands slip from the blood, and I can't pull myself away in time. He pulled me close and stabbed me with the bayonet affixed to the end of his gun. I fall to the ground with a large scream, alerting the other survivors that I've been caught. The killer gives off a dark, deep chuckle and picks me up, looking around and deciding where to hook me. He settles on the nearest hook, which happens to be surrounded by bamboo. As I'm being carried to it, I notice moving in the plants and see David hiding, waiting for me to get hooked and for the killer to leave. He gives me a thumbs up just before another searing pain erupts my shoulder, and I grab onto the hook, holding myself to try and relieve the pain. The killer stares at me momentarily before leaving to go check the area. David didn't hesitate and rushes in, pulling me off the hook. We started to leave the area before the killer found us and swung his bayoneted gun, trying to hit me. David jumps in the way, taking a hit for me, and we both managed to get away. Are you okay? I asked as David and I settle in a hiding spot. I'm fine. I do this all the time. David grunts, reaching into his pant pockets to try and find gauze. Oh my god, it's hurting my throat. Give me a sec. David grunts, reaching to his pant pockets to try and find gauze. Looking him over in curiosity, I notice that he isn't wearing a shirt like normal. I quickly avert my gaze, feeling like I shouldn't be seeing his bare chest. My face feels hot. Damn it. I must have dropped my healing stuff when I took that hit. Do you have anything? David asks, upset. I pat down my pocket before frowning and shaking my head. No, nothing. Fuck! He groans and pinches the bridge of his nose. I'm okay with being injured, but we have to get you patched up. Finally, there you guys are! A female voice speaks next to us. I jump and look in that direction. Claudette. I've been looking for you guys. I owe you for helping me earlier, she says to me before holding up the first aid kit. I found this in a chest. Let me get you guys healed up. What perfect timing. David and I allow her to patch us up, using up the kit. I'm sorry. I didn't think that there would be so little. Fuck. I'm sorry. I didn't think that there would be so little in this kit. I apologized to her afterwards. It's fine. I always make... Fuck's sake, that's Claudette to speak. Claudette's voice. It's fine. I always bring some extra supplies. Plus, I can always find another one. Claudette smiles and waves it off. We should go work on the generator though. Ash has been working on them all by himself. Are any of them done yet? David asked. I didn't hear any go off. We got one done. You might not have heard it during your chase. Claudette replies. We nod and go to look for a generator. I walk behind the two and stop, wincing and touching my head. The dark whispers that come back. No, go away. They quiet down and I look around. Great, I lost David and Claudette. They must not have noticed I stopped and kept going. Nearby, I hear the sounds of a generator being worked on. Decide to go check it out. Ash is there, working on the generator. He looks up at me, frowning. I crouch and start the generator as well. Do you mind? I was working on this. Ash pipes up. What? I'm just helping. It can get done faster, I reply, raising an eyebrow at the mail. I can handle it on my own. Unless you can somehow get me some alcohol. I don't need your help. Ash speaks with an unenthusiastic tone. Okay then. I step away from the generator. Good luck. I leave the area. That was strange. I heard he was a lone wolf, but I didn't think he would use help. A scream sounded in the distance. Claudia must have been found. I decided to go to help her, heading in the direction of the scream. Well, guys, I hate to say it, but this is the last chapter that FinnsterYall wrote. It clearly said discontinued, so I'm pretty sure he's not gonna write anymore. So yeah, I'm afraid this is the last reading of the Entity's Realm. Oof. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, my fellow Legion, never stop splashing. Peace out, everybody.